Okay. Hi, Ralph. It's great to have you join me for this podcast interview.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yes, you're very welcome. Super excited to go over these questions with you and learn a little bit more about your background and experience as a franchise coach. So, first question, I'd like to start off asking you, Ralph. Can you share with me a bit about your background and what inspired you to become a franchise coach?
So I was downsized from corporate America. Really didn't want to go back to working for somebody else. So I was looking for a business, and I discovered the field of franchise consulting. I like to call myself a franchise matchmaker because that's what I do. Um, I love helping people. I like learning more about folks, and being an electrical engineer by degree, I enjoy solving problems and being a solution provider. Not to mention assisting folks in becoming self-employed and not having to work for corporate America anymore.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think your background in corporate is really valuable because that's also the background of a lot of people who come in and they start exploring franchising. So I think it's really valuable that you can provide that insight to the clients that you work with.
Right.
Excellent. Now, Ralph, when working with clients, what is your process for understanding their goals and skills and also their financial needs before you actually go ahead and recommend them some franchise options?
Great question, Tegan. So I spend at least an hour, if not more, with each client, finding out about more of what they've done in the past for work, their hobbies, their interests, their goals, what they want to achieve, with their business, geographically speaking, where in the country do they want to open up, if they've been involved in the community in any way, and many other questions. This then gives me the client's big picture, which then allows me to research and bring back several franchise companies to present to the client that I feel will fit them.
Excellent. Yeah, I know working with you firsthand that you have a really great process for getting to learn more about your clients to make sure that you are placing them into the appropriate franchise system. So that's great to hear, Ralph. Now, on the other hand, on the other side of things, how do you evaluate and vet franchises before you're comfortable recommending that model to one of your clients? And more specifically, what criteria is most important to you about a franchise?
So I work with many different franchises in various categories. So I look for franchises that have been around for quite some time. There's a lot of new ones that pop up. You don't know if they're going to be here in a year or two. So I tend to focus on franchises that have been around for quite some time. They've proven themselves to be successful. They provide great training. They offer excellent support and really make their franchisees feel like they're part of a family.
Yeah, no, I love that. I totally agree that it's super important to make sure that you're not only vetting the client but vetting the franchise to make sure that you're making a recommendation that you're comfortable with as a coach. So that's excellent to hear. Now, Ralph, if you're okay with sharing, do you have an example of a client where it was a challenging placement, and if so, how did you work through this to find that client the right franchise fit?
Yes, I've had a few of those. So in some situations, a client is looking for a passive business. And typically that means that they have a job, they either don't want to or not in a current position to give up their job. So they're looking for a business that's more what I call passive, where they're either putting in maybe just an hour or two a week, or maybe hire somebody. They'd like to hire somebody from day one. They don't want to be an active owner where they're putting in 40, 50 hours a week. Most franchisors are looking for active owners. So basically, with passive options being limited, it sometimes takes longer to find the right fit. So in that case, we just have to hang in there, be patient to find the right business that works for the client situation. That's all.
Right. Yeah. No, that makes total sense. I think that's a great point that there maybe aren't as many passive opportunities, but the great value that you bring is that there is always the right fit for someone. You just have to explore the options. So that's a really good point. Now,
Exactly.
Yeah. Now, how do you tailor your approach, Ralph, for your clients who maybe have different or varying financial situations or business backgrounds?
Good question. So my approach with various clients is pretty much the same. I ask lots of questions and take the time to really get to know my clients and ultimately, what they want to accomplish with becoming a business owner. We take the project at their speed. There's no rush. This is a very important project for my clients as they're spending significant money to
Right.
get into a business, and typically will be the franchise owner's main source of, and if not only source of income, and the business should last them, for many years. So we need to get it right. And also, if they should need financial help, I have the resources and relationships to assist them in that area as well. If they need a business loan, an SBA loan, if they want to try and use their retirement plan, such as the 401k or IRA,
Mhm.
fund the business without having to pay the normal distribution taxes and penalties, I can help them with that as well.
Yeah, no, I really love that point that you bring up about financing alternatives. I think not everyone is aware that there are so many different lending options, and there's a lot of different ways to work with clients who have different financial situations. And again, that's something super valuable you bring to the table. You can introduce people to those different options that they probably weren't aware of beforehand. So.
Sure.
Yeah. Now, another question, Ralph. Can you tell me a story of a particular client where they did choose the right business and they did have success in that franchise? And, how proud does that make you as a franchise coach that you were able to help someone really fulfill their dreams?
Great question. So I have a client, by coincidence, he happens to live in the same state as I do, even though my clients are all over the United States. He was downsized from his job. He did not go back to the corporate world.
Sure.
I helped him to find the right franchise, and he has now grown his business by adding more territory, and he has an annual sales volume of several $1 million.
Wow.
It put a big smile on my face when I heard this. Made me very happy that he was doing so well. At the end of the day, this type of result is what I'm seeking for, for all my clients.
Mhm. That's incredible. I think that's probably one of the most rewarding aspects of being a franchise coach is seeing someone else's success like that and really knowing that, their success is because of the role that you played in coaching them through franchising. So that's so wonderful to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. Because that's at the end of the day, as I said, that's my job.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Now, what are some of the most maybe common misconceptions that you hear clients have when they first are introduced to franchising? And how, as a franchise coach, do you help clients overcome these concerns and how do you address them?
Another great question. Pretty much the main, and I'll say almost only misconception that I hear quite a lot of, is that most folks think that when they start looking into a franchise, that they believe that they need to look into a business where they already have experience.
Sure.
For example, if somebody was a steel worker and they applied for a woodworking job, they probably wouldn't get it because they don't have
Sure.
the experience. But in the franchising world, the opposite is true. Franchisors are typically not looking for industry experience, as they will teach the candidate
Hmm.
everything that they need to know to be successful, and support them for the life of their business. So I share that, with clients, and typically they're unaware of what I had just said. It's like, oh, so that means I can look at many franchises that I like, that I feel will do well in my community, and so forth. But I don't need to bring experience to the table. And they say, yep, that's correct.
Yeah, no, that's a super great point. I love that you mentioned that because I think that's one of the key reasons people get into franchising is that support that you get. And it's really great that you introduce people to different concepts and models that they didn't think would be a good fit, but, actually can be. So, yeah, absolutely. That's super great to hear. That's a lot of the topics that I wanted to cover for this podcast, Ralph. Anything else that you'd like to share about your journey in franchising?
I've been at this for several decades. This is my last career. I love what I do. I'm very good at what I do, and yeah, it brings a lot of joy when I've been working with a client for a couple of months and they finally acquire a franchise, and they thank me for the time. And many times they say, "Hey, Ralph, I would never have found this great franchise without your help, because there's thousands of different options out there, and people just don't know where to look. They don't have years and years to research." So it's nice when they have a franchise expert by their side. And just to bring up another point, not only do I help my clients find the right franchise, that's just the beginning part of my work. So once
Mhm.
I've made introductions and I've brought candidate together with the franchisor, I stay with the candidate right up to the finish line. So I probably spend maybe 20% of my time on actually finding the right franchise, and then the other 80% actually holding my client's hand. Because
Wow.
and a lot of candidates don't know this, and I share it with them. But just as the candidate is evaluating the company, the franchisor is also evaluating the candidate.
Sure.
I
Yeah.
know what the franchisor is looking for in a candidate, what turns them on and off, questions they should be asking, things to watch out for. So I remain as their franchise coach, advisor, mentor, holding their hand, things that they should be doing, shouldn't be doing, questions to be asking.
Right.
So I let them know that I'm sort of their franchise wingman, holding their hand through the process. They have a franchise expert by their side right to the finish line. They won't be doing this project alone.
Right. Yeah, that's incredible. I love at the beginning you called yourself the franchise matchmaker, but I think it's especially amazing that you're there for your clients beyond that just initial search. You're there to support them because getting that process actually started is just as important as finding the right match. So that's really wonderful to hear, Ralph.
Yeah, most of my clients have never owned a business before. They
Sure.
invariably know nothing about and have no experience in the franchising world. Their significant other, their spouse, their inner circle, their friends know nothing about the franchising world. They have nobody to turn to.
Right.
Uh, so they really appreciate having somebody that's holding their hand. We talk on a regular basis. I'm sharing them, knowledge and bits and pieces that they need to know along the way that the franchisor may not share with them.
Hmm.
Um, the analogy I like to use is like you're going into court for an important trial. You don't know anything about the legal system. What
Hmm.
do? You get an attorney by your side to help you through the process. He
Great
or she
point.
is an expert, knows the lay of the land, how the court system works and so forth. So I'm with them right to the finish line.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. We always look for professionals to guide us through other areas of life, like your analogy and in the legal side of things. So why not lean on a franchise expert who can guide you through the franchising industry?
Exactly.
Yes, great point. Well, thank you so much for taking your time to do this interview with me, Ralph. It's been super valuable, and I love that I've gotten to learn more about you.
Oh, Tegan, thank you so much for the time. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Yes, you're very welcome.